Alright, good morning or good afternoon. We're going to try something a little bit differently for this test review. I'm going to go through the different problems and try to explain them, and then you can go ahead and, if you have further questions, ask me about them. So let's look at the very first problem. The first four problems are all about completing the square. So if you look at that first problem, you have x squared minus 14x is equal to 2. Okay, I've told y'all the pattern is take the number that's in there in the middle, divide by 2. Negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. Negative 7 squared is positive 49. Okay, so we divide by 2, then we square, and then we're going to add. 2 plus 49 is 51. And then to get rid of the square, we will take the square root. Okay, so that will leave me with x minus 7 is equal to plus and minus the square root of 51. Move the 7 over, so add 7, and you get x is equal to 7 plus and minus the square root of 51. There is no way to further simplify that. That's just 3 and 17, so you're done. Number 2, same type of problem, x squared plus 8x plus blank equals negative 45. Okay, so again, divide by 2, so x plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 16 plus 45 is equal to negative 29. Okay, then I can take the square root, and I have x plus 4 is equal to plus and minus square root of negative 29. Again, I don't want a negative, so to simplify that, I'm going to say plus and minus I square root of 29. Move the 4 over, and I would have negative 4 equals x. And there you go. There's your answer for number 2. Okay, on number 3, we want x squared minus 2x minus 10 equals 0, but we don't want the 10 on the same side as the x's. So I need to move this 10 over to the other side and say positive 10. So I've got plus here, and again, I go through my same steps. Divide negative 2 by 2, and I get negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Add that to 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. Okay, again, take the square root, and I'm going to be left with x minus 1 is equal to plus and minus square root of 11, which there is no way to simplify that. So x is equal to 1 plus and minus square root of 11, because this one, the minus 1 needs to move to the other side. And you're done. Hopefully you're seeing the pattern. They don't get much harder or much different. Even when they say something like this, f of x is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 15. Okay, ignore that. Set it equal to 0. And now I'm saying, okay, I need to move the 15 over to the other side, so I have x squared plus 6x is equal to negative 15. Divide. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Add 9. You get negative 6. Take your square root. You've got x plus 3 is equal to plus and minus the square root of negative 6. Remember, that negative is going to be an I, so plus and minus I square root of 6. Move the 3 over. And that will give me negative 3 plus and minus I squared of 6. And if you have questions, feel free to call me over and I can answer your questions. Or if it's already at home, you can send me a question through Edmodo. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5 wants it in vertex form. Okay. Now, keep in mind, if I do say let you use notes, I'm not letting you use this, because then you can follow it a little too easily. So you need to make sure you have some notes on this stuff. Make yourself a note card if you need to. F of x is equal to x squared minus 8x. Okay, and you're going to put a parentheses plus and the 2 on the outside of the parentheses with a minus. Okay, so plus inside the parentheses, minus outside. And again, you're still going to divide. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. And we're going to put 16 over here. 2 minus 16 is negative 14. Okay, so f of x is equal to that. So then I can just say that's in vertex form right there. And then the vertex is positive 4 comma negative 14. Now on the test, I expect you to give me both of these as answers. So remember, opposite of the parentheses, but keep the one outside the parentheses the same. Number 6 is the same way. F of x is equal to x squared plus 10x minus 6. But let's say here again, we're going to put here plus blank minus 6 outside with a minus there. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then 5 squared is 25. 25 minus 6 is negative 31. That's my vertex form. And that means my vertex is negative 5 comma negative 31. There you go. Okay, that's how you do vertex form. Alright, then we look at number 7. Rewrite each of these in terms of I. So number 7, I've got 5 times the square root of negative 36. The square root of 36 is 6. The negative makes that an I. So I'm saying 5 times 6i, which is 30i. Number 8, negative square root of negative 45. Okay, this right here is the negative right here. That's an I. So I have like negative I. Okay, I'll write, and then let's look at this. 45 is 9 and 5. I have 3 and 3. So I have a pair of 3's that go on the outside. So that should be negative 3i. Then I have a 5 that's left over and square root of 5. Remember, pairs go on the outside, leftovers go on the inside. Okay. And that's it for number 8. Number 9, I've got 1/3 the square root of negative 99. Okay, let's do that 99 first. We'll say 9 and 11. That's 3 and 3. So I have a pair of 3's that go on the outside. So I have 1/3 times 3. Then this negative means I. And then I have an 11 left over. Well, 1/3 times 3 is just 1. So I have 1i, or just I, square root of 11. And there's your answer for number 9. Again, if you have any questions on these, please ask me. Complex conjugate. That's really easy. Like on number 10, all you got to do is change the sign of the I. 2 minus 6i, and you're done. Notice on number 11, the I is in front, and technically it should be in the back. But I'm presuming because of the square root of 13 that adjusted things. Okay, so here, again, just change the sign, negative 7i, negative minus square root of 13. I'll take it like that, or, I prefer it, negative square root of 13 minus 7i. Notice, all I'm doing is changing the sign of the I. Number 12, 4i is negative 4i. That's the conjugate. That's all you got to do for complex conjugate. Super easy. 13. Okay, let's look. Solve each equation. Okay, I have x squared is equal to negative 100. Okay, all I got to do is take the square root. Okay, what's the square root of 100? Square root of 100 is 10. Every time we do this, we're saying, with an x, we're saying plus and minus. Okay. Now, because of this negative that was inside, don't forget, there's an I, and that's it. You're done. 14, 5x squared plus 2 is equal to negative 23. Subtract 2. 5x squared is equal to negative 25. Divide by 5. X squared is equal to negative 5. Okay, and then from there we can take the square root, and so I would have x is equal to plus and minus. There is no square root of 5, but the negative means I will put an I, square root of 5. Remember, I is first, square root second. Okay, that's it for that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, let's look at 15. 15 says x squared plus 12x minus 28 equals 0. Okay. On 15, 16, and 17, we're supposed to be doing quadratic formula, which you have the formula right there on the review sheet. Okay, so identify A is 1, B is 12, and C is negative 28. Alright, I would plug those into the formula. X is equal to parentheses, the opposite, plus and minus, square root, parentheses squared, minus 4, all that over 2. Okay, so according to this, B, B, A, C, A. Okay, 12 squared is 144. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 28 is 32. Carry to 3, 112. And it actually ends up adding. So I have here x is equal to negative 12 plus and minus. 144 plus 112 is 256. Over 2. Okay, there is a square root of 256, which is 16. Type it in your calculator and find that out. So what this is saying here, now you can further simplify this. You can say like negative 12 plus 16 divided by 2 and negative 12 minus 16 divided by 2. And you can type that in the calculator all at once if you make sure you press Control Divide. So here, negative 12 plus 16 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Or negative 12 minus 16 is negative 28. Divided by 2 is negative 14. So your two answers should be 2 or negative 14. Again, if there's any questions, please ask. The next one, number 16, I've got 5x squared minus 8x plus 4 equals 0. Notice how these all equal 0 because they have to equal 0. So A is 5, B is negative 8, C is equal to 4. Okay, so let's do x here equals, let me go ahead and put in my whole bit of parentheses here. Two parentheses. Okay, so I've got a negative 8, 5, 4, and 5. So here I have x equal to positive 8 plus and minus 8 squared is 64, negative 8 squared is still 64, 4 times 5 is 20, and 20 times 4 is 80. So now you have a negative. Okay, so that's negative 16. All of that over 10. Okay, square root of negative 16. Okay, so there is a square root of 16. Can't really type. You could type in the square root of 16 on the calculator, and you would get 4. Negative means you put an I. 10. Okay, all those can be simplified because they're all divisible by 2. 8, 4, and 10 are all divisible by 2. So I can easily say 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And that's it. That's as far as I can simplify it. And I'm done. There's nothing else I can do with that because I cannot combine because of the I. Okay, so then finally number 17, I've got x squared plus 6x equals 1. I need that to be equal to 0, so I move the 1 back over to the side of the x's, equals, so that way I have A is equal to 1, B is equal to 6, C is equal to -1. And then if I do my quadratic formula, plus minus square root, notice here how I'm always writing first the parentheses. I'll plug in the number second. So here I have 6, 6, 1, -1, and 1. So then that gives me -6 plus and minus. This is 36 plus 4, which is 40, over 2. Okay, 40 can't be simplified because I've got 4 and 10, 2 and 2, 2 and 5. I've got a pair of 2's that can go on the outside. So -6 plus minus 2. I have a 2 and a 5 that's left over that stay inside over 2. Remember, this 2 on the bottom, the denominator, can divide into the numbers outside, but it can never divide to the number inside the radical. So -6 divided by 2 is -3, plus and minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I can put a 1, or I can just leave it as square root of 10, because 1 square root of 10 is that. And there's your final answer. Okay? Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask and let me know. Just raise your hand. Or send it through to me on Edmodo. Okay, let's look at 18 and 19. 18 and 19 want you to find the discriminant. So, and then tell me the roots. -3x plus 2. Check your notes to see what type of situation you can have, but this is where we just do the b squared minus 4 times a times c. Here's a, here's b, here's c. Okay, so I'm saying -3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 2. That's 9 minus 16, which is -7. That is your discriminant. And because of that, that means you have two, we're going to say imaginary roots. You can put non-real, imaginary, I don't care which one. Just that you would know that it's not two real roots. And we're not going to worry about real irrational or real irrational. It's just going to be two real roots. Okay? So this one is two imaginary roots. Number 19, we have 3x squared plus 5x minus 4 is equal to 0. So if I do this a, b, c, I've got b squared is 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times -4. Okay, so that gives me 25 minus, that's 12 minus 12 times -4, which will become plus 48, which gives me an answer of 63. Okay, so that's my discriminant, and because of that I have two real roots since it's positive. Okay, that's it. That's all you got to do for 19. Finally, we get to the word problem. I will have a word problem in there somehow, some way. Not going to read it or anything, but I am using the thing. Approximately how long did the flight last? What was the highest altitude to the nearest thousands of meters? There's two different ways you can do this. You could do quadratic formula. You could do graphing and change your window. I probably will try to show you that one in a minute. Squared plus 187t plus 61,000. Okay, on this one you can use the calculator. You can actually give me a decimal answer. You don't have to worry about simplifying this. So I used the calculator, I typed it in, and using the quadratic formula for the very first question, how long did the flight last? Approximately how long did the flight last? Okay, so if you look at that, you get two answers. When you solve this using the quadratic formula, you get -263 and or 1,363. Well, you can't travel back in time and have a negative, so this answer means this is your answer, that the flight lasted about 1,363 seconds. Dividing by 60, that tells you it lasted about 22 minutes. So yeah, super long flight, I know. Okay, on the B, to get the second question, what was the highest altitude to the nearest thousands of meters? That's where you could graph it, or you could do negative b over 2a, comma, a function of negative b over 2a. Okay, what that means is you'll say like negative 187 over 2 times negative 0.17. Okay, get that? When you do that, you get 550. Okay, now you put that back into the equation. So you're going to say negative 0.17 times 550 squared plus 187 times 550 plus 61,000. When you do that, you get some really big number. I get here 6. Okay, I don't have room to write it here. 6.2738 times 10 to the 9th power, because that E9 means that. Okay, this would be the high altitude. Okay, and that's in meters. So I mean, obviously it went up pretty high. Divide that by 1,000 and you're getting, say, 10 to the 6, so you're getting about 6 million kilometers. Kind of go with that. I may be off a little bit, but that should be the correct answer right there. Oh, I can see why I'm off a little bit. Hold a second. I said times 61,000, so my bad. Let's try that again. Let's add 61,000, not multiply. Well, that was just an oops. And I get a much more manageable number of 112,425, which would be about 112 kilometers. Remember, this is in meters. So this right here is your answer. That was the highest altitude. Okay. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. Okay. Otherwise, that's everything on the test. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to ask. Send them through to me at Motor or ask in the classroom. Thank you.